Hello Darts Nuts, I'm just going to do a review of the Bandit Plus board. I got this board courtesy of dartswarehouse.com in New Zealand. I'll just read what's on the box first. It says the world's finest bristle dartboard has become even better. Bandit Plus. The Bandit Plus will deliver on performance and style with new features including new composite moulded outer edge and backing board, new mounting bracket for ease of installation. Let's see what it says on the back. Following huge success with the original Bandit, we now proudly present the Bandit Plus, which takes our dartboards to the next level. The new composite edge and backing board give the board a clean modern look, and the new mounting bracket makes the Bandit Plus so easy to install. The new backing board is made from a percentage of recycled plastic, is recyclable and is significantly lighter. All the original qualities of the Bandit are retained for high score and performance, plus no staples or wire, 100% staple free. Made from African sisal, increased plane surface, bounce outs virtually eliminated. Right then, we'll have a look on the contents, what you get in the box. You get your Puma Darts shot handbook, which gives you a little brief history of darts and tells you how to set up your board, which is always handy if you're a beginner, and there's a nice little checkout chart on the back of that. And also included is your fixing bracket. I use these brackets on my normal board anyway, so you get that bracket and the screws to fit it up with, but you won't need that because the board already has one of them built in, but it's still handy to have it. You know, you might just want to use it on another board if you get one of these brackets. So we'll have a look at the board now. Right, let's see whether I'm in shot. Yep, let's zoom out a little bit. As you can see, the board is a nice clean looking board. It's got deep blacks, deep reds and greens, so it's a nice clear vibrant looking board. The one thing I noticed straight away about this board is it's got a very thin spider. I did used to have a Bull's Advantage 2 board that had quite a thin spider, but the spider on that was raised up quite a bit out of the board, and it also had little things protruding into the semi-bull area, which I wasn't so keen on. This seems to be much improved. It's more to the kind of spider that I like. It's nice and flat against the surface of the board, which is one thing I do like about a spider. I'm not so keen on the spiders that are raised up. This looks pretty close to the spider that's on the Gladiator 2 board that I reviewed before. I'm not sure whether the wires may be as thin as them, or they could be even thinner. They are very thin wires. As you can see, the bullseye area is nice and neat. This is one of the new things that the board has got. It's this kind of a enclosed edge. Makes it a neater looking board. You just slide your numbering off. Don't need to keep that on for while I'm looking at this. And as you can see, I'll move it in a little bit, it's covered all the way around in this kind of a plastic sheet, or sheath I should say, which gives it a nice solid feel. You should be able to see it better now. I don't know how close it is to the camera, but usually when you've got your board, it usually has a kind of a metal band around it. This looks a lot neater. It's a much neater idea. It's all just one plastic cover. I don't know if it'll come off. It might if I pull it, and maybe I shouldn't pull it off. I suppose I could pull it off there, but I don't think I probably should. Anyway, let's have a look on the back of the board. This is where all the new idea is. It's this composite recycled, or mostly recycled plastic backing. Instead of using a kind of a chipboard or MDF backboard, it's using this. And as you can see, it's got the built-in holder, so you can fit that easily into the bracket when you fix it up onto the wall. The thing as well about this is it makes the board thinner, and you see these sections here, they're all hollowed out, so I would say the thickness from that to the front of the board, it only feels maybe about an inch. Obviously I can't measure it properly, but I would say if I go grip the edge of it there, it's quite thin really. It's a lot thinner than what it is on a normal board, plus the board itself feels lighter, so I don't know if there's an advantage to that, like probably some kind of advantage. It just makes everything nice and neat. Now just want to point out a couple of things that I've noticed. There's not really much wrong with the actual surface. There's a couple of slight light patches where the ink maybe not have penetrated fully. There's one thing I didn't like on the original bull spider, was the way that the spider joined. I'll put a close up later, but this has still got the same kind of a join, but it looks like the spider's embedded more into the sisal, so hopefully it'll be stronger, because I think when the spider was raised up on the bulls, the tendency to twang the darts when it hit it, I think, is what eventually made one of the wires pop out, but may not happen on here because it's so close to the surface of the board. I think overall the spider on this is really quite nice and neat. Now the board itself, the sisal, usually when I get a board I like to press my thumbnail in to see how hard it is, and this is really quite hard. I can't penetrate it at all with my nail, so it's quite a solid, dense board. Now that may be a bad thing if you're using light darts, and also if you're a light thrower you may struggle for a few weeks until you bed the board in. I noticed with a hard board before, the Bulls 2 again, it was hard for I would say probably about 2 months before I bedded it in, but the good thing is the board lasted well over 2 years, and I think it's still going well now because I give it to somebody and it was in really good condition even after 2 years. So I think firmness of the sisal does prolong the life of the board, but I'm going to see if I can do my little soft tip test. Usually after I've tried my thumbnail test I like to try a soft tip. If a soft tip can penetrate it, it penetrates it okay, but it's quite solid. It's nowhere near as soft as my Blade 4, but it is going in. But it does feel like the sisal is really gripping into the point. Now on some boards when I try doing this with a soft tip it leaves big holes, mainly because the compactness of the sisal is a bit looser, so it leaves big holes, whereas this is leaving only little holes, so that's a good thing. I'll just try it with a proper steel tip point now. With a steel tip point it feels a lot softer. I wouldn't say this was as hard as the Bulls 2 that I had. It doesn't appear to be so, but obviously the real test is when you throw it. when it's on the wall, but it has like a deadening sound, which is what the idea of this sheath is meant to do. It's meant to make the board a bit quieter. I'll just get a soft tip again, because the bull area is usually the hardest part I find. No, it's going in okay. So it's quite a firm board, but it's not overly hard. But I do think if I threw the soft tip at the board while it's up on the wall, it may struggle to penetrate. It's struggling to go through the black part. You know, that's not so much a fault of the board, it's more the fact that when the boards are new, I think the ink at the top of the surface tends to bind the sisal a little bit. So like I said, it'll probably take in a couple of weeks to bed in, but it has a nice sound to it. It's got like a very solid feel. Alright, I'm just going to do a few quick measurements. Just measure the bullseye area. The bullseye is 12.6mm. See how square it is. 9.32. About 9.28, so it's pretty central on there. Just make sure I measure it that way. 9.1. Okay, 9.16. It's pretty central. Just measure the treble segments. That's 9.1. 9.2. Just measure a couple more, just see. 9.08. 9.09. So it's a nice and even measurements. I'll just do a quick measurement to see how square it is. .36. 80.4, so that's pretty good. That, so it's nice and square. The spider's seated nice and square on the board, quite evenly balanced. What I'll do now is I'll just do a close-up of the board, a little video close-up, so you can see it in close-up and have a good look at it. Right, I'm just going to go in close with the camera if I can. There's your logo on the bottom. It says Puma Dart Products Limited, patent pending. We'll just have a close look at the wires and the segments. Obviously when I'm using the camera, sometimes the light, the shade changes a little bit. There's little bits of like glue coming up from the edges of the spider. I think that's probably where the spider's been pressed into the board, so it should be nice and solid if the glue's been squeezed up a little bit. As you can see, the board is nice and flat, no visible bumps on the surface of the sisal. I'll just have a look at the bullseye. There you go, it's in focus now. and I'll just show you the wires where they're joined into the board. That's how it's joined on. Now the Bulls Advantage 2 had a similar system, but the only thing with that is the spider was raised up above the board, so it had more chance of being damaged from the dart, whereas this one is, the spider's embedded deeper into the sisal, so hopefully it should be better lasting, should be less prone to damage, I hope. Alright, that's a close look at the board, so we'll get the board fixed up and we'll chuck some darts at it. Right, I've got the bracket fitted, so all I have to do now is put the board on and then be all set to throw some darts. Right, I'm just going to have a few random throws. I'm using my 22 gram Kevin painter darts. I'm just going to throw them around the board just to see how it sounds on all the 4 compass points. Well, the immediate thing I've noticed in just that first throw is it has a very muted thud. The holes seem to heal up almost instantly, just a tiny fraction of a mark. Does sound quite firm when the darts are hitting it. Has quite a nice soft sound to it. I think my darts are only going in probably less than 10mm. I'm not a hard thrower though. See if I can get around the bullseye area. Yeah, it's got a lovely soft sound to it. Also bear in mind that I am using this board on a dart stand. It's not fixed to a wall, so it's got like a hardwood back behind it, which is a bit echoey. So I dare say that when this board is on the wall it'll probably sound even softer. I'll probably test that out and report back on the forum. Sounds pretty even, the sound all the way through. Nice and compact, the sisal gives it a nice feel. Yeah, it's pretty good actually. There's hardly any visible marks at all where I've hit the few darts. I think it's because it's so compact. Now what I want to try now is I'm going to throw some soft tips at it. I'm just going to throw these 16-gram soft tips. They're only 16 grams, so they're very light, and I just want to see whether they'll penetrate the sisal, because they penetrate the sisal on the Blade 4 dual core easy. They may have some trouble getting through on this board though, but obviously the board is new, so I think with most boards they take a little bit of time to bed in and break up the surface where the ink is dried up a little bit. So I'll just give it a go and see what happens. Oh well, it's stuck in. Didn't think it would. It looks like it's gone in further than the steel tip actually, which is a bit strange. Give it a couple of more goes. That sounded like it struggled a little bit on that red segment. There you go, there's a bounce out. I don't know whether it just didn't hit properly, but obviously they're not designed for soft tip boards, but I just wanted to do a test just to see how hard it was, and it's not quite as hard as I was expecting. The Bulls Advantage 2 that I used to have a few years ago, I think that was harder. I do like the sound of this board, it does make a lovely sound. But one thing that I do like about compact sisal is that it does seem to last longer, and it does seem to heal up well, which is a good thing. Just have a few more with the steel tip darts. Yep, it's heals up really nice. That's a hole left from the soft tips, that one, and I think that one as well, but the steel tips are barely leaving a mark. Right, what I'll do now is I'll put a little close-up of the darts, hopefully going into the board, so you can have a good look at that. Oh well, that's the review of the Bandit Plus board. It's quite a quiet board, like I said. It's got a very muted thud. I think that's a combination of this compact sisal and that plastic backing board. Now, one disadvantage I was thinking about was it's still probably possible, I suppose, depends how heavy your darts are and how hard you throw, but I thought maybe that if you use long points you might be able to penetrate and get through to the backing board, but I think you're going to have to be throwing quite hard to do that. I'm pushing the dart really hard here, and let me see, I've pushed that quite hard and it's only penetrated maybe about 12mm. So if you're a very hard throw, even me throwing it, pushing it in like this, I still haven't penetrated to the thingy, so maybe that disadvantage I was thinking about isn't going to happen. But I do think that this backing, this plastic sheath and the composite plastic back as well, is providing a bit of soundproofing to the board, and that coupled with the compact sisal gives it a nice muted thud sound, so quite like that feature of the board. And also the holes seem to be healing up really well, which is another good feature. So quite impressed so far, but obviously I'm going to have to play with it more to have a proper full opinion of the board. So I'm going to have to update the review in a couple of months time. So that's it for now. Thanks for watching.